Welcome to the Careers by Jen podcast, episode 204. On this episode of the podcast, Jen reviews 9 ways to keep calm during the holiday season. Not included on the list are any of the myriad versions of keep calm and fill in the blank, because they're just stupid and don't actually accomplish their purpose. Unless you think keeping calm includes screaming, "Don't tell me what to do," to a coffee mug or a t-shirt.
You're listening to the Careers by Jen podcast with me, Jen Swanson, the podcast that helps you to get the job, love your work, and advance your career. Well, it's that time again. Are you feeling the pressure? Are you feeling stressed? Are there too many things for you to do and not enough time to do them all in? I'm going to share 9 ways to keep calm. Well, to find calm in the first place and then to keep it this holiday season. And we'll start with the most critical thing you can do right after this.
Are you procrastinating? Do you want to start a job search but aren't quite sure where to begin? Is it all just a little overwhelming? At Careers by Jen, we have a 5-day Jumpstart Your Job Search Challenge to help you get unstuck and move toward finding your dream job. Every day for 5 days, you'll receive an email to your inbox that asks you to complete 1 task. Every task you complete moves you closer toward your goal. The best part about this challenge is that it's absolutely free. Come over to careersbyjen.com and you'll see the 5-day Jumpstart Your Job Search Challenge on the right-hand side of the screen. Click on the image of Jen, sign up with your email address, and you'll be 5 days closer to reaching your goal. Why wait when you can get busy? Visit careersbyjen.com after this podcast.
The number one most critical thing to do is to choose calm, as in to actually decide it. How you respond to things in your life is up to you, actually. But many of us automatically and unconsciously react, and that's when we feel that life is out of control. But you actually do have a choice. If you choose calm, that's great, but then you need to take the steps to actually make it happen. One of the reasons this topic resonates with me is that I need it too. You may have noticed the podcast not being published the past couple of times when it usually gets published, which is about 1 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on a Thursday. And that's because very, very unexpectedly a few weeks ago, a senior member of our family was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer, and life has been rather upside down of late. And so I ask for your understanding and for your patience, as I might not be able to get the show out exactly as usual, given the reality of all that is happening. So on top of this sudden diagnosis, our renovation is dragging on. So the new podcast studio that I talked about a few episodes ago many episodes ago, I think now, is not open yet. It's not ready yet, which means I'm still podcasting from an office moved into our bedroom and underneath a fuzzy green bathrobe. My improvisation. And so you can imagine how challenging all of this is. And of course, it is the busiest season in my church ministry, preparing multiple worship services, etc. Not to mention that our family always hosts the family Christmas dinner at our home early. And so with all of that happening, it's hard to choose the calm and to make it happen. This is not an easy thing to do, but I am working hard at creating moments where there is time to sit, where there is time to breathe, where there is time just to be. And so I encourage you to do the same. And I think what has to happen before you can make it work is that you have to choose it consciously and maybe even say it out loud, tell somebody else, write it down. And I'm going to talk more about how actually to do that in a bit. But number one, the most important thing is it needs to be intentional. You need to choose that you're going to have some calm in this upcoming holiday season. The second thing to do is to reduce self-created stress. Now, this one is hard, especially if you are a very busy person in general and if you like being busy. What in your life have you brought on yourself as far as stress goes? What stresses and obligations and items on your checklist are there because you put them there? And in what ways are you creating your own stress? Do you absolutely have to have your home decorated like the pictures that you see in Pinterest? Do you need to have as many holiday lights up if that's something that you do? Do you have to attend all of the events that you said you would attend? What things are you worrying about that cause you stress? And what of those things can you lay aside for now that you actually you're not going to accomplish anything by worrying about them? So what can you do, and what can you do that will reduce the stress that you have created because of the things that you have put upon yourself? And then what about your negative self-talk? Can you take time to look at that and to practice some self-compassion and to judge yourself more kindly? Because if you are your worst critic right now, then you are actually a big part of the problem of not being able to get to that place of calm. So often we set pretty high expectations of ourselves and then we beat ourselves up for not meeting them, which is anything but calm. So are you doing that? And if you are, can you stop? Or can you at least become aware of the times you are doing that so that you can notice and do less of that, and less of that beating yourself up and saying nasty things to yourself when you're not meeting the goal of finding calm when you're feeling stress. So that was number 2, reducing self-created stress that is happening to you because of the things that you have decided to choose to do. The third thing is to say no to anything that is not essential. And this follows well on the heels of the last item. It's hard to say no to stuff, especially when it's fun. Saying no to stuff you don't want to do is maybe a little bit easier than saying no to stuff that sounds like it would be a lot of fun, but you just know that you're at capacity. Saying no can be a really hard thing for some of us. I'm getting better at it, but honestly, it takes practice. It's incredibly hard to not experience that FOMO, that fear of missing out, when others are having fun experiences. And, we all need to have a little bit of fun, of course, but when you're feeling anxious and stressed and in an endeavor to choose and to make calm happen, especially in the next few weeks, then it's something to take a look at, something to pay attention to. So what on your plate is non-essential? Do you have to send out Christmas cards this year? Do you need to do all of the socializing that comes your way? Is there some way to shop for gifts that you give, if you give gifts, online, or maybe at times when the stores are quieter? Can you purchase some of the food already prepared instead of putting the pressure on yourself to bake and cook? What can you lighten up on in order to find time to laugh and to play, or even just to sleep more? What is there that you can take off your plate as far as the holiday season goes so that you can meet your deadlines, so that you can do your work efficiently, so that there are things that you can get done on time and feel good about that, and maybe let some other things go? So that was number 3, say no to anything that is not essential. Number 4, be realistic, because perspective matters. Some of us, and I'm including myself, have trouble seeing the big picture at times. Sometimes I end up trying to cram far too many things into one single day. Well, last night, in fact, it was 8 p.m. by the time I got home from an all-day meeting and a dinner event, and I had not even started preparing this episode. And, it takes sometimes 5 to 6 hours to properly research, write, record, edit, and then publish a show, never mind all the marketing, the promotion of it, and putting it out on social media and everything. So to arrive home exhausted after a very busy week of doing nothing but running, to realize at 8 p.m. that unless I stayed up until the wee hours of the morning, I would not have a podcast, well, that made me have to get real. And so here is how I was thinking. The thousands of people who listen to the show every month are likely not going to suddenly stop listening if the show doesn't happen to publish at 1 a.m. on Thursday morning as usual. Some of them might wonder what's happening. I might get an email or two about it. But otherwise, I'm pretty sure people will continue to listen and will appreciate the show when I can publish it. It was this kind of being realistic that it took to allow myself to just breathe a little last night and to go to bed early and get a good night's sleep, which is what I really needed. I needed to gain perspective. So how can you do that? How can you look at the big picture in the grand scheme of things? Well, you can ask, what's going to happen if I don't do that thing that's stressing me out? What's the worst thing that could happen? What's going to happen if I delay it? Can I delegate it? You can ask all of those questions. And if you still have trouble gaining perspective, is there someone perhaps that you can ask who is close to you, maybe a colleague or a friend or a loved one? Can you ask them what they think? Ask for someone else's advice on the topic, someone else's perspective, because sometimes it takes somebody outside of the situation to be able to see what might be realistic for you or not. And there's absolutely no shame in asking somebody to give you their perspective on what you are trying to accomplish. Now we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to share 5 more practical ways to keep calm this holiday season.
You've updated your resume, you've sent it out, and you've been selected for an interview. Congratulations! And now you want to get ready, really ready. This is where Careers by Jen can help. We have a comprehensive online course called How to Ace a Job Interview When You Haven't Interviewed in a Long Time. This video-based course is jam-packed with information, advice, and exercises to help you get completely prepared to walk into an interview situation with confidence. From exactly what to prepare in advance, to how to answer common questions, to what questions you might ask the interviewer, and so much more, this course is designed to get you ready. Visit careersbyjen.com and click on Training Resources to see the curriculum, preview a couple of the introductory lessons, and see what others who have taken the course are saying about it. Visit careersbyjen.com and get ready to ace your next interview.
So number 5 of the 9 ways to keep calm this holiday season is find time for you. Schedule it. Make it. Taking time for yourself is often the last thing. I know that it's often the last thing for me. And why is that? I can easily schedule a dentist appointment or a service appointment for my car or book a meeting that needs to happen or a phone call, but deliberately scheduling time in for myself rarely happens. At least it has rarely happened in the past. But now my plan is to do just that. Make time to take time to go for a walk or go to the gym or go for a massage or even to get into bed early and just read. It's really hard to find sometimes time for yourself. So where in your calendar can you find an hour in the midst of the mayhem? Where can you block off time for yourself? I encourage you right now to stop this podcast and find an hour and mark it down in your calendar, block it off for yourself, and then you can come back and listen. So 1 hour, where can you find 1 hour for you somewhere in the next 7 days? And then once you've done that, book it an hour again in the next 7 days, and so on, because you need it. I always say you are your best investment. That was number 5. That was making time for yourself, booking time for yourself. Number 6 is practice being present. Now, I've talked about this one before, and it's worth repeating. When it's rush, rush, rush all the time, it's really easy to be anywhere, but here in the moment. Our brains get a workout thinking about what happened earlier today, what happened before this moment, and also what might happen next, and what might happen tomorrow, and what might happen next week. And so what about right now? You've heard about mindfulness. I know you must have heard about it because it's everywhere right now. Mindfulness is being in the now. And research has shown that it can reduce stress. And the practice of mindfulness can promote calm. And at least it can promote calm within you, even if the rest of the world is in a frenzy of anxiety at this time of year. There are many, many, many mindfulness training programs out there, and you can just plug it into your search engine and you'll find a whole ton of things about mindfulness, and even just bringing yourself fully into the present by focusing on your breath as it flows in through your nose into your body and then out again and in and out. And as you focus on that, you will be brought immediately back into the very moment, this very present time. And just doing that can promote calm. So if you don't feel like you have the time to learn how to practice mindfulness, even just every once in a while when you catch yourself feeling not calm, focus in on your breath. It doesn't matter where you are, you can do this. No one will know what you're doing. And it can help to focus you and center you and bring you back into the now. So that's practice being present. Number 7 is to let go of being perfect. And if you'd like to hear a whole lot on perfectionism, please go back and listen to episode 201, because that is the episode that talks about the problem of perfectionism. Now, my expectations of myself include not letting people down, and so deciding not to publish this episode late at night messed up my own expectations. It was not easy to say, you know what, it's okay. It's not perfect, it's not ideal, but it'll do. It took me a while to get to that point because I was worrying about what other people would think and about letting people down. So where can you let go of some of your own high expectations? Are there places that the pressure you are putting upon yourself is life-draining rather than life-giving? Is anyone going to notice? If you haven't taken a listen to episode 201 yet, which again is all about perfectionism, I invite you to do that, because sometimes we think people are going to notice and they're not going to notice at all. Sometimes all it takes to bring more calm into our lives is to get out of our own way. And I'm speaking to myself now as much as I'm speaking to you. I hope you can relate. So let go of being perfect. And that can be on a small scale or a big scale, depending on what it is we're talking about. I mean, you want to do well. You want to achieve excellence or strive for excellence in your work and probably in many other areas of your life. But perfect is almost impossible. So take a look at that and take a look at yourself and where you are attempting perfection when that's not really what's needed. The 8th tip that I have for you today is to give yourself permission to say no or to opt out. Give yourself permission to say no or to opt out. And this one is similar to the previous one in that it's getting out of your own way also and allowing yourself to say no to things or to opt out of doing things that you don't actually have to do. Things that aren't critical. Now, there are some things that you do that, of course, you have to do at work and at home, but what are some of the things that you are not actually obligated or required to do? And what would happen if you just said no? There have been times when I've jammed one too many things into my schedule and I was invited to do one more thing. And I knew in my gut that I was taking on too much, and yet I felt like saying no wasn't an option. And then someone else said to me, "Do you have to do that?" And I thought about it, and it was almost as if I hadn't thought of saying no before. Is there somewhere that that's true for you? Here's me. It's Jen asking you, do you have to do that? Can you say no to whatever that thing is? So I'm asking you that question. Is there something somewhere on your plate of all the things that you have to do that you can say no to, or that you can opt out of in order to give yourself that goal, to get yourself to that goal of finding calm in this upcoming season? The last thing is, number 9, is to eat less and sleep more. This one sounds obvious, but you know what? There's so much deliciousness at this time of year, and there are so many social activities and, activities of preparation, of getting things ready to celebrate. And so it's easy to burn the candle at both ends, and it's easy to eat or drink too much. And these things do not promote calm, especially not within your body. There's a source of stress that we don't always recognize, and what I'm talking about is cellular stress. What we are doing to our bodies on the inside when we overindulge and then don't allow the body to rest properly and to rejuvenate itself. This physiological stress is not promoting calm. So being aware of that is a way to pay attention to how much you're sleeping and to what you are consuming, and to find calm by doing less of one thing and more of the other. So less of putting things into the body that the body is going to stress out about, things that aren't good for it, and more of things that are good for it, like sleep and rest in general. So is there some way to eat a little bit less? Of course we want treats. Of course we want Christmas baking and treats, Hanukkah treats and all the rest of it. But are we overindulging? So it's about moderation, of course. So are we overindulging and stressing our bodies out even more by doing that? Or can you enjoy it more slowly, perhaps, and put less stress onto your body so that you can find more calm inside and out? And so I'm going to endeavor to take my own advice here as we head into this holiday time, and I hope that you do too. If you're not celebrating a holiday and you're listening to this, it can still be a challenging time to find calm, because life in general seems to be increasingly noisy and frenzied anyway. So I think these 9 things could help at any time of year to help you take a look at what's happening and hopefully to adjust a little bit as needed. If you are celebrating, then there's the extra pressure of family gatherings and such that often makes this time of year even less calm. So whatever the case, I hope that something you've heard in this episode has resonated for you. Thanks for listening. You've been listening to Careers by Jen with Jen Swanson. If you like what you heard, please share this. You know, if every single person listening today shared this episode with just one friend, our audience would be twice as big just like that. And the more people we can help with our content, the better. So help out a friend and help grow our audience by sharing this show with someone you know who would benefit from the content. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that, and together we can make a difference. Until next time, take good care.